I used my son's identity to borrow money for my daughter's wedding. Now he's suing us, we're losing our home, my daughter's life is falling apart, and I still don't understand why he hates us. We only wanted her to have a decent wedding. I know how it sounds. I know many of you out there will judge me, but what nobody understands is that sometimes in real life you have to make difficult decisions, not out of selfishness, not out of malice, but for love, for family. And yes, we used our son's information to apply for a loan. So what? It's not like we actually stole from him. It all started when Adriana, my youngest daughter, got engaged. She's 25 years old. She was always sweet, affectionate, sensitive. One of those daughters who hug you without asking for anything in return. She deserved a dignified wedding, something that reflected who she is and everything she's been to us. But the truth is, my husband and I couldn't afford it. We can barely keep the house. We've been in debt for years, and still we wanted to do the impossible. That's why we talked to Harold, our older son, who's 27. He was always colder, more independent. He left home at 20, got a job, bought his own apartment, the model child, according to him. We knew he had savings, so we humbly asked for his help. Can you lend us something for your sister's wedding? I asked. Not much, just what's necessary. He frowned, as if we were asking for a kidney. I'm saving to remodel the bathroom. And no, it's not my responsibility to pay for the Golden Sisters' wedding. I was stunned. Excuse me, what do you want me to say? I'm not going to sacrifice my lifestyle because you can't get organized. My husband tried to calm things down. He told him to at least take out a loan and that we'd pay him back. But Harold flatly refused, saying he wasn't going to get into debt for someone else's whims. We left his apartment feeling like trash. How could we explain to Adriana that her brother didn't want to help her? That we'd have to settle for a cheap hall and paper decorations? But Adriana didn't cry, she didn't complain. She just came over and told us, what if we use Harold's information? What? There are online loans, they just need his ID and some bank details. I can fill out the form. I refused at first. That's illegal, honey. Illegal? And isn't he our son? Aren't we a family? This is for the common good. He won't even notice. It's only $30,000. We'll pay it back later. My husband didn't say anything, he just looked at us. And then I did it. We did it. I had copies of his documents, his social security and medical insurance card. I even had access to an old bank statement. He left it at the house once, and we never gave it back. Adriana completed the form from her laptop. In 20 minutes, we had the approval. $30,000 in his name without him knowing. It didn't seem like that much to us. What's $30,000 compared to seeing your daughter happy on her wedding day? Besides, Adriana checked his mailbox from time to time. Just as a precaution. If any suspicious letter arrived, she'd take it. Nobody got hurt, and the wedding was perfect. She looked like a princess. The hall was decorated with hanging lights, fresh flowers, a live band. We didn't skimp. We couldn't afford less. Harold was invited. Of course. He arrived late, dressed in black. He sat in the back, he didn't dance. We offered him wine. He refused it. He just told us, I'm here out of respect, but I'm leaving early. I thought it was just his way of being. He was always like that, tense, silent, uncomfortable. Everything was going well. The party was a success. Until just as the newlyweds' first dance was playing, I saw him approach the dance floor. But he wasn't coming to dance. He came with a folder in his hand. He got up on the stage, stopped the music. The people froze. Excuse me, he said into the microphone with a cold voice. I just have one question for my parents. The entire room turned to look at us. Why is there a $30,000 debt in my name? The music stopped. The laughter, the glasses suspended mid-toast. Everyone looked at him as if he had just kicked the priest. My husband stood up abruptly. I got up more slowly, with my heart in my throat. Adriana was paralyzed as if she'd been caught stealing at her own party. Harold, I said, trying to smile. This isn't the time to. Don't change the subject, he shouted into the microphone. Was it you? I didn't answer. I wanted to die. Not from guilt, from shame. I'm talking to you. You took out a loan with my information. A murmur grew like a swarm among the guests. My husband approached, trying to get him off the stage. Get down, please. We'll talk later. No, we'll talk now. He threw the folder on the floor. The papers scattered. I have the collection letters, the statements, the bank's address. It all points to you. And there, without thinking, I said it. Don't ruin your sister's night. The silence was absolute. Adriana lowered her head. Harold looked at us, as if he didn't recognize us. He took a step back. His voice trembled. Is that all I'm worth to you? No one answered. We just watched him get off the stage, pick up the papers, and walk out of the hall like a dead man. 3 days later, he came back. Not to visit us, to bring us the foreclosure papers. I lost the apartment, he said, leaving the folder on the table. What? I couldn't pay. I had 30 days. The bank already executed the notice. They told me I have a week to get my things out. But we didn't know, I said. We thought. You thought I was your ATM, he shouted. How could you? Adriana wasn't there. She didn't show her face. My husband just repeated. It was for a good cause. Harold laughed with rage. A good cause. You left me homeless so Adriana could have hanging flowers and a 5-course buffet. We couldn't say anything else. He left. And this time he didn't come back. Days later I learned he tried to press charges. I heard it from his aunt. He had gone to a police station with the papers, with his story, but he couldn't move forward. The process was expensive. He had to pay for experts, lawyers, certificates. He couldn't afford it because, of course, we had taken everything from him. He ended up sleeping on a coworker's couch with his things in boxes, his clothes in bags. Meanwhile, we were uploading wedding photos to social media, all of us with glasses in hand, all smiling. Adriana on her honeymoon and Harold without a roof over his head. I tried to convince myself it wasn't that serious, that he'd get over it, that he'd find another apartment, that he'd understand with time, but he never answered my messages. Not on Christmas, not on his birthday, never. And so a year passed until one morning, while I was making coffee, Adriana came into the kitchen, pale, with dark circles under her eyes, her cell phone trembling in her hand. Mom, he's going to sue me. What, Harold? My brother is suing me for fraud. I almost dropped the cup. What did you do now? Nothing. I mean, I didn't succeed, but I tried again. Tried what again? To get a loan. It was only $10,000 for a trip with my friends. Ernesto wasn't going to give me anything, and I thought if it worked before. The cup did fall this time. Are you crazy? It didn't go through. They didn't give it to me, but he found out. And he's going to sue me. Good God. He says he's going to use this to connect it with what happened before. He's going to gather evidence, IPs, whatever. And what did the lawyer say? That it depends. It could be jail time or just paying back the money. It depends on how Harold proceeds. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. I just looked at her as if she weren't my daughter. Why did you do that? I had no choice, she cried. And you did it too. Don't judge me. I did it for you, for your wedding. And this, she shouted, isn't this for me too? This is different. Then do something. Help me. If Ernesto finds out, he's going to leave me. I closed my eyes, tried to breathe. I just said, we have to talk to Harold. And so we tried. We wrote to him, we called him, we asked him to come to the house, to please talk to us. That he couldn't do this to his sister. His response was always the same. I can't, I'm working. Once, twice, 5 times. He left us on read, he ignored us. Until we made the decision. We would go. It wasn't an impulsive decision, it was a necessity. Harold was cornering us, closing all the doors one by one. And when someone does that, you have no choice but to think about survival first, about protecting your own, about protecting yourself. We went on a Saturday afternoon without notice. Adriana insisted on coming with us. She said she had to face him, that if she saw him, if she spoke to him from the heart, maybe he'd come to his senses. My husband wasn't convinced, but he didn't stop her. I just wanted it all to be over. The building where he lived was no longer the same. It looked more neglected, as if even the walls had aged with him. We rang the bell. He took a while to open. When he did, his expression was exactly what I expected. Exhaustion mixed with annoyance. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk," I said. "Just a few minutes." He sighed, looked at his watch, looked at Adriana. Finally, he stepped aside. 5 minutes. We went in. The apartment was almost empty. An old couch, a folding table, a mattress on the floor. Nothing else. I felt a pang, but I pushed it away. It wasn't the time for sentimentalism. "We know you're upset," my husband began, "but this is going too far." "Far," Harold replied, crossing his arms. "I lost my home." You all went on as if nothing happened. "What part of that is too far?" "The lawsuit against your sister," I said. "That's unnecessary. She didn't manage to get the money. There was no real harm this time." "No harm?" He laughed without humor. "You really still think like that?" "Harold," Adriana intervened, her voice breaking. "I know I failed you, but this is going to ruin my marriage. Ernesto won't be able to handle it. That's not my problem anymore." "Of course it's your problem," I jumped in. "She's your sister. Are you really going to destroy her life over this?" He looked at me intently, too intently. "You all already destroyed mine." My husband took a step forward. "Son, understand something. Nobody here wanted to hurt you. It was an extreme situation. We were desperate. We acted as a family." "Family?" he repeated. "Family is stealing from me, lying to me, leaving me with nothing." "It wasn't stealing," I said. "It was a loan. We were going to pay it back. You never did. Because you didn't cooperate," I replied without thinking. "If you had just helped from the beginning, none of this would have happened." The silence fell like a tombstone. Adriana's eyes widened in horror. "Mom, don't." "No," I said. "Enough. Someone has to say it. You're the one who closed the door on us. You left us with no options." Harold clenched his jaw. "Tell me the truth," he said slowly. "Whose idea was it?" "That doesn't matter," my husband answered. "What's done is done." "It does matter," he insisted. "I want to know who decided to use my information." Adriana started to tremble. "It wasn't," she whispered. "I mean, it wasn't just me." I looked at her. I gestured for her to be quiet. "Adriana," my husband warned. "It was Mom," she said abruptly. "She said it was for the best, that nothing would happen, that you had to understand." The air became unbreathable. "Is that true?" Harold asked, looking at me. "She's exaggerating," I said quickly. "It was a decision we all made." "Is it true?" he repeated louder. I sighed. There was no point in denying it anymore. "Yes," I admitted. "I proposed it. Because someone had to think about your sister, because you didn't." He didn't scream, he didn't hit anything, he just took out his phone and put it on the table. "Do you know what this is?" "What are you doing?" my husband asked. "Recording," he replied. "Since you walked in." I felt the blood drain from my face. "That's illegal," I managed to say. "Not in my house," he answered. "Thanks for saying everything. Really, you saved me a lot of work." "Harold, wait," Adriana said, crying. "Don't do this, please." "You all already did it," he replied. "I'm just finishing what you started." My husband took a step toward him. "If you continue with this, you're going to ruin your own family." Harold looked at us one by one. "No," he said. "You're not my family anymore." He asked us to leave. He said if we didn't, he'd call the police. We didn't argue. We left in silence with the weight of something irreversible falling upon us. In the car, Adriana started to cry inconsolably. My husband didn't say anything. I stared ahead with my hands rigid on my legs, thinking only one thing. If we didn't defend ourselves, he would destroy us. And that's how we understood that this wasn't a family problem anymore, it was a war. And like in any war, we had to make a decision. Harold cornered us, exposed us, recorded us, and he didn't do it by accident. He did it knowing exactly what he was after, to destroy us. So yes, I admit it, he forced us to choose and we chose well. We chose Adriana. She's the one who needs us, the one who is always there, the one who, despite everything, is still our daughter. We couldn't let her marriage fall apart over a mistake that, let's be honest, wasn't hers alone. After the confrontation in his apartment, we tried to contact him again. We asked him not to use that recording. We asked him to think about his sister, that if he brought us down, he'd drag her down too. His response was to silence our numbers. Not another word. That's when we understood he wasn't going to stop, so we had to prepare. We found a lawyer, a good, expensive one, but one who knew how to handle delicate things. He told us the only way to come out of this well was to build a credible argument that Harold had lent us the documents, that it was an informal agreement, that there was never any intention of fraud. The important thing, the lawyer told us, is that the narrative is aligned. Nobody contradicts each other. If everyone says the same thing, it's their word against his. Adriana couldn't stop shaking, but she agreed. Meanwhile, the atmosphere became unbearable. People in the neighborhood started talking. Rumors, comments at church. Aren't those the parents who stole from their son? Didn't the daughter get married with a fraudulent loan? Even at the supermarket, people avoided our gaze. My husband was called into the human resources office. He came back without a job that same day. I lost all support, he told me. They say there's a formal complaint and they can't risk the company's image. And all the while, Harold remained silent, but we knew he was pulling the strings. He blocked all the relatives who tried to mediate, the cousins, his uncles, even his grandmother, an entire family vetoed because of his grudge. I tried to write him a letter, not asking for forgiveness, because I didn't feel we had to, but appealing to his humanity. Son, if you can't forgive, at least stop. Look at your sister, she's on the verge of collapse. Is it really worth seeing her lose everything over something that's already past? He didn't reply. A few days later it was my birthday. Adriana wanted to organize something small. Nothing big, just a dinner. We invited our closest family, even the neighbors who used to always come. Nobody came. Nobody. Maybe it's the weather, she said, trying to hide it. I knew better, but the unread message notifications on my phone told another story. That night I cried alone in the bathroom. Not from guilt, from humiliation. As the trial date approached, the fear gave way to exhaustion. We lived locked up, speaking only among ourselves, reviewing every phrase we would say before the judge. Ernesto, Adriana's husband, was already starting to suspect. He asked with more and more insistence what was happening. Why was she crying? Why were they talking in code? Why wasn't she sleeping well anymore? Are you hiding something from me? He asked her one night. She denied it, but I saw her. She was about to break. And then the final summons arrived. The day of the trial, fraud, identity theft, damages. Our lawyer went over everything we had to say with us. What gestures to avoid, how to react, what phrases to repeat. And I, as a mother, was thinking only one thing. I have to protect my daughter no matter the cost, even if it means completely destroying the one who has already turned his back on us. The courtroom wasn't what I imagined. There was no solemnity, no silence, just cold, hard benches, faceless people waiting for someone else to lose. We entered in a line, my husband, Adriana, and I, as if we were a united family, as if we weren't there because one of our own dragged us into this. Harold was already in his seat. Black suit, hair tied back without a shred of emotion. His lawyer accompanied him, a guy with a piercing gaze and impeccable manners. Harold didn't look at us, he didn't need to. When the charges were read, the only thing I did was take Adriana's hand. She was trembling like a child. I whispered to her, everything's going to be okay. I still believed it. Our lawyer spoke first. He was convincing. His tone was serene, almost paternal. He painted a story of family, of shared mistakes, of misunderstood trust. The parents had access to the son's personal documents, he said. There was no impersonation, but a misinterpretation of tacit consent, and at no time was there any intention to harm him. It was an informal loan used for the purpose of a family event. The judge took notes. Harold, impassive. I thought, he has nothing but his word. There's no solid proof. Maybe we'll win this. But then his lawyer stood up, opened a folder, and everything fell apart. Your Honor, he said, I present the following evidence of premeditation, fraud, and intentional harm, an audio recording made by the plaintiff at his home. where the three defendants openly admit to the improper use of his personal information. Bank statements with direct transfers to the defendants' accounts. IP records of the attempt for a second loan linked to the parents' home network. Chats from the defendant Adriana, where she states, "I'm going to do the same thing as last time with my brother. It won't hurt him. It's only 10,000. Adriana choked on a gasp. My husband clenched his fists. I felt nothing, just a dull ringing. Then the lawyer presented the last witness, a former co-worker of Harold's. For 3 months, Harold slept in my living room, he testified. He had lost his apartment. He had his things in boxes. Sometimes he didn't even eat. And then Harold stood up. He didn't have to speak, but he did. His voice didn't tremble, he didn't need to shout. Every word was a stone. When they mortgaged me, it wasn't just the apartment I lost. I lost trust in my parents, in my sister, in people. And the worst part was hearing how they justified it. It wasn't with bad intentions. We thought he had savings. It was for his sister's good. They never apologized. They never offered to pay anything back. They never cared what I lost. He looked at me for the first time in months. His eyes weren't filled with hate, they were mourning. They played the victim until I said everything in front of the judge. I had no way to respond. There was no way to cover up what had already spilled over. The judge spoke. His voice sounded like a powerless hammer, but every word hit. The evidence is overwhelming. Not only is the fraudulent use of the data confirmed, but a persistent attitude of denial, cover-up, and lack of reparation is noted. Therefore, the defendants Maria and Ernesto must repay the original sum of 30,000 pesos plus another 30,000 pesos for damages. The defendant Adriana must pay 20,000 pesos for her active participation, including the repeated attempt at fraud. The payments must be made within 6 months. Otherwise, executive measures will proceed. I felt the world slipping away, but it didn't end there. Ernesto, Adriana's husband, stood up. He didn't say anything, he just looked at her and took off his ring. He left it on the seat and walked out of the courtroom. Ernesto, Adriana shouted, running after him. Wait, I can explain. He didn't turn back. I didn't cry. I gritted my teeth. I wanted to say something to Harold. Something that would make him stop. Something that would make him look back. I followed him outside. Harold, please. He stopped. He didn't turn. Why are you doing this to us? You still don't get it. We're your family. Not anymore. You can't do this to us. He turned and for the first time he shouted, "And what did you do to me? We created you. We gave you everything we could. And that gives you the right to steal from me? It was for your sister. It was a sacrifice. I wasn't your sacrifice." And he left without looking back. It's been almost a year since that trial. Since we saw our own son stand before a judge and say we're not his family. Since we were branded as criminals, since everything ended. And I still don't understand why he hates us so much. We raised him with so much love. Yes, we made bad decisions. But wasn't it for his sister's good? For keeping this family together? For protecting what we had left? We were forced to mortgage the house to pay the judgment. It was that or end up on the street. We got rid of the memories, the dining room furniture, my mother's piano, my wedding jewelry, everything to meet that debt he threw at us like a bomb. Adriana isn't the same anymore. When Ernesto found out everything, he not only ended the marriage, he also emptied their joint account. She was left without a house, without a husband, without a reputation. Her old friends stopped calling her. The friends from the trip disappeared. Now she sleeps in her childhood room, surrounded by pink walls that no longer suit her. Sometimes she doesn't talk, she just sits and looks out the window for hours. She says she misses when everything was normal. I tell her she'll be okay again, even though I don't fully believe it. My husband, for his part, aged 10 years in one. He can't find a job. Nobody wants to hire someone with a record for fraud, even if the crime didn't lead to prison. We only talk about the essentials. The bills, the debts, the pills, and Harold. We know nothing about Harold. I've tried writing to him 1,000 times, letters, messages, emails. I asked him to at least talk to his sister, to think about how she's doing, to consider how much we need him. But there was no answer, not a line, not an emoji. The last I heard is that he moved to another city, changed jobs. Some say he's doing well, that he bought a new apartment, that he even has a partner. And us, we're still here, sitting on the ruins, wondering how we got here. I don't get it. We raised him with effort, with dedication. It wasn't easy, but we did what we could, and all we asked was for him to help us. Just a little, just once. Was that so unforgivable? Is a son really capable of burying his entire family over a mistake? Sometimes I think he overreacted, that he was too cruel, that he cared more about his pride than his blood. What kind of person does that? I just wanted to see my daughter happy. He chose to destroy us, but I still have hope. Maybe one day he'll read these words. Maybe he'll understand that everything we did, even the bad things, was for love. Maybe one day he'll come back. And if he doesn't, well, we forgive him because at the end of the day, we're his family, even if he no longer believes it. Comment 1. You ruined your son's life for a party. Literally a party. How dare you call yourself a mother? Mother's reply, and what did you want us to do? Let his sister get married with nothing? A mother makes sacrifices, and yes, sometimes you have to make difficult decisions for the good of everyone. Comment 2. What kind of narcissism does it take to destroy your son and still justify yourself as if you're the victim? You're a danger to any family. Mother's reply, narcissism is thinking only of yourself, like he did when he refused to help. We did what we could with the little we had. If that's being dangerous, then many mothers are too. Comment 3. You used his information, took his home, and when he tried to report it you hid the letters from him. This isn't toxic, it's criminal. Mother's reply, we didn't hide them out of malice. It was so as not to worry him. We thought we'd pay the money back in time, but everything got complicated. Does that deserve for him to treat us like enemies? Comment 4. I hope your daughter one day understands that you destroyed her just like your son, only you ruined her with suffocating love. Mother's reply, I gave my daughter everything I could. What happened was a consequence of many things. It wasn't all my fault. It's not fair to always blame me for everything. Comment 5. All this for a wedding. Where are the people who were applauding while you danced now? Where are the gifts? Mother's reply, the wedding was beautiful and everyone was happy. The fact that things have gone wrong now doesn't erase the fact that it was an important day for our family. I couldn't predict the future. Comment 6. The worst part isn't what you did, it's that you don't regret it. You're just annoyed that there were consequences. Mother's reply, what do you mean I don't regret it? I cry every night. I'm hurt by what happened, but I can't make everything disappear either. Life isn't as simple as just saying sorry. Comment 7. You did the right thing by recording them. With people like that, if you don't have proof, they destroy you. Mother's reply, and who protected us? He came determined to make us look like monsters. Don't you think it's unfair that his family has to live in fear of his revenge? Comment 8. You didn't raise him with love, you raised him with emotional debt. You expected him to pay up when he grew up. Mother's reply, and what's wrong with wanting your children to help when you need them? After everything we did for him, was a little understanding too much to ask? Comment 9. If justice were perfect, you'd be in jail. Yet you still say it was for love. Mother's reply, because it was for love. Is love only valid when it doesn't make mistakes? Haven't you ever done something wrong believing it was for someone else's good? Comment 10. He doesn't hate you for the money. He hates you because you never accepted that you destroyed him. Mother's reply, I didn't destroy him. He chose to walk away. He chose to see us as enemies. He could have always come back, but he preferred to stick with his pride. It hurts me too.